Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you had a fantastic weekend and are ready for this week. I apologize for not getting out a devotional on Friday. I am working on a teacher work sample, which is a major portion of my, not only my graduation, but also my certification to be a teacher. So it's pretty time consuming, but I apologize. I didn't feel like I had proper time to prepare for one on Friday. And also I'm going to push these out for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to take a couple of weeks off and just focus on my paper and get that wrapped up, and then we'll get back on course. So forgive me for that, but it is what it is. So anyway, God has really been working on me lately about my arrogance, and I don't mean that I'm looking down my nose at people and judging them and blah blah blah. I mean my arrogance to think that I know what God's plan is and what God should do and how God should help us, how our lives should play out, and those are my loved ones. I think sometimes when I pray, I'm telling God how I need my prayer answered instead of your will be done, because you are the infinite God. I am a finite being. I've walked this earth 45 years. I tell most people 29. Please don't tell anybody. But, who am I compared to this eternal God? This God that created all things, the God who spoke these things into existence. Who am I to think that I know his ways better than he does, or knows what he should do better than he does? And it was just such a good reminder that, you know what? Wherever God leads, I'm going to walk. It is what it is, because God has got this. He's going before me. He's going to hem me in behind. He's going to take care of this, right? No matter where he's leading, he has a plan, and it's for his good and for his glory. And even if things don't wind up or end up the way that I expect them to, or I'd really like them to, it's okay, because God has a purpose for our lives. In Romans 8:28, it says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose." I've heard this misquoted as well. It's a little tangent. Everything happens for a reason. Wait a minute. It says, "And we know for that those who love God," right? There's your disclaimer. And at the end, called according to his purpose. This is a promise for the child of God, period. Okay? So anyway, back on course. So I was in my devotionals, and I was reading, and I was about when Saul was persecuting the churches. And he had just stoned Stephen. If you pick it up in Acts chapter 8, verse 1, it said, "And Saul approved of his execution," Stephen's, "and there arose on that day a great persecution against the church in Jerusalem, and they were all scattered throughout all the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. Devout men buried Stephen and made great lamentation over him. But Saul was ravaging the church, and he entered house after house. He dragged off men and women and committed them to prison." Verse 4, "Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word." Do you see this? This has got to be like one of the toughest times for Christians in that time, because they are being persecuted, and Paul is just on a mission, or Saul, excuse me, it was before he was Paul, was on a mission, and he was just trying to destroy the Christians. And it says in verse 4, it says, "Now those who were scattered went about preaching the word." The gospel spread because of this persecution. The gospel spread because of this hard time that they were going through. And I think that sometimes we get short-sighted in our perspective of our lives. Sometimes we have to walk a path we don't want to walk, but God is calling us there because we might be there to spread the gospel. We might be there to reach people that might never hear the gospel or see the gospel lived out or see Jesus unless we're in their lives. So when God calls us somewhere, I just encourage you, and I'm going to do it. I'm stepping in faith. Wherever you're calling me, God, we're going to walk this out, because you have this. You have a plan. You have a purpose, and it's way bigger than I can even comprehend. Isaiah 55:8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And I just got thinking about all the times in the Bible where the person, the follower of God, or in the Old Testament, and the follower of Jesus Christ in the New Testament must have been going, "What are you doing?" It's just like John the Baptist, and you remember when he says, "Hey, are you the one we were looking for? Because now I'm in prison," and he ends up being beheaded. But this was all done, and God had a plan, and God had a purpose. And his disciples, look at how the horrific deaths that they died. And Lord, I really hope you're not calling us to that. But I'm just saying that, you know what? God has a bigger purpose for us, and he has a reason to walk us down these paths that he's walking. If you look back at Joseph, he was sold into slavery for his brothers, and in the end he's able to rescue a big portion of Israel and help them, and as he was put into a position of leadership in Egypt. And then if you look at Daniel, he ended up in Babylon because the Israelites were overcome because of their disobedience. But And I'm not saying that we're put in positions because of our disobedience. Sometimes that happens, but other times it's just what God has planned for us. Like, you know what? I need you over here because I'm going to use you as a vessel to reach these people, or to glorify me. And that's our end goal, is just to glorify God in everything we do. And that should just be our thought. And it's so hard because we have this idea, and yes, I'm looking for Colossians right now. We have this idea of what life should look like, and we have this idea of what how things should work out. And sometimes I think we just need to take a step back and go, whoa, I am not God. He is infinite. He is just all-knowing. He's sovereign. He's good. He's a good father. He has a good plan for me. Whether I can see it this side of heaven or not, maybe not. It might not come to fruition until we walk into heaven and go, oh, okay, now that makes sense. Thanks, God. But and just remember that in Colossians 3:17, this has been my verse for school. And this is gonna, transition to, this is what I want in my life. And whatever you do in word or deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. Everything that we do, let it glorify God. Let it bring glory to Him. Let it be, magnify His name. Wherever we walk, and there's some tough roads, and I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and I'm not saying that God is not going to ask us to walk through some fire. But remember that He will never leave us or forsake us, and that He is going before us, and He's hemming us in behind, right? Because that's who He is. He is a good, good Father, and He has a good, good plan. And I just pray today with me that you just say, God, your will be done, your way, not mine, right? And please help me in my finite wisdom to walk it out and to have faith in you and to trust you. God bless you all. Keep fighting the good fight. Lord willing, we'll see you in a couple weeks. God bless.